Hi, this is Frank Yang from Microsoft Technology Center in Singapore. This is the second part of the Managed Azure Subscription series. This one we're talking about setting the Azure access permissions. Remember in the part 1 of this Managed Azure Subscription sessions, we're talking about large company may have multiple subscription with a multiple billing account. There also have a lot of different Active Directories sitting on one subscription. So let's make it simple. Remove the multiple billing accounts, remove the third-party services, and just focus on the Azure itself. And also to simplify, we just remove the multiple Azure AD. We talk about only single Azure Active Directory. So when the Azure Active Directory build up, it's managed by the company's IT people. But how did you adding new user in the Azure Active Directory? How did you add the new organization account? Of course, remember in the part 1 of this Managed Azure Subscription sessions, we're talking about large company may have multiple subscription with a multiple billing account. There also have a lot of different Active Directories sitting on one subscription. So let's make it simple. Remove the multiple billing accounts, remove the third-party services, and just focus on the Azure itself. And also to simplify, we just remove the multiple Azure AD. We talk about only single Azure Active Directory. So when the Azure Active Directory build up, it's managed by the company's IT people. But how did you adding new user in the Azure Active Directory? How did you add the new organization account? Of course, you can add the new organization account using manually. You can using the Azure portal to create a new user manually one by one. Well, it's not the good option. Instead, you actually can using the Active Directory to syncing up with your on-premise AD with Cloud Azure AD. So your on-premise directory will showing up into the Azure AD. The users in the on-premise Active Directory will all show up in the Azure AD. And the third one, you actually can adding a Microsoft account into the Azure Active Directory, become the member of the organization account. You've been wondering how the Azure AD can get all the user account from on-premise. So there's a two-way. You actually can using the password sync to synchronize identity from on-premise to the cloud, and even store the password into the cloud AD. But for the large company, they may choosing the Azure AD using the ADFS to federate with the cloud identity. So that's every time the customer to do the authentication, they're going back to the on-premise Active Directory to authenticate, which is more secure. You may realize that Azure portal itself using Azure AD to authenticate organization account, which is called role-based access control, RBAC. Well, all the resources in the Azure subscription are authenticated and authorization by the users, groups, and service principal in the Azure AD. Feel like it's kind of a joint domain, but it's a little bit different. For example, the resource permission inside the subscription must be assigned by the subscription service admin. If the service admin doesn't assign any subscription the permission for the users, they have no access at all to go into the Azure to use Azure resources. The same thing, if the people are the Azure AD global admin, it doesn't mean they can access everything. It just means they have a global admin to manage the Azure AD itself. if you want this person to also be the service admin for the one subscription, you have to manually add into the subscriptions. The role-based access control RBAC in the Azure portal actually inherited from the subscription layer to the resource group layer to the every single resources. In individual layer, they actually have three major roles called contributor, owner, and readers. The contributor and owners both can access every single resources inside this resource scope. They can read and write and change. The only difference between the contributor and owner is the owner can change the permission, adding other contributor or reader inside this resource or resource group. But the contributor cannot do the permission setting. Readers, of course, they are very simple. They just can see the resources but cannot access all of them. As we mentioned, Azure Portal Access inherited from the higher layer to the lower layers, from subscriptions to the resource group to the resources. But all this setup is not by default. You have to using the service admin to set up the higher level permissions. Start from the service admin. Let's using this scenario for example, there are three machines, virtual machines running in the different resource groups. If the service admin wants to assign them to the different people to access different resources, here what you need to do. The first, assign people to the different resources based on their permissions. For example, database admin who may need access the physical, the virtual machine itself, even reboot, restart the virtual machines. So he must be signed into the resources, contributors. The application owner who may manage multiple resources will sign to the resources group. And IT administrator who probably need access every single resources, they will be assigned to the subscription level contributors. Then he can access every single resources. But don't mix up this permission with application permission itself. For the application itself, the DBA may have the full access for the database. Doesn't matter of whether they can access the VM itself. They can log into the virtual database virtual machines and changes inside the database. The application user maybe is the user of the Azure AD, maybe not, can both access the applications. So remember, the application use permission is different than the Azure resources permissions. Now let's recap the account type in Azure. In this part 1, we realized that by authentication, Azure can using Microsoft account or the organization account to authenticate. Microsoft account is managed by the person itself. If they have the email access, they can create a Microsoft account. The organization account must be created by the IT, and the organization account must be the Azure AD account. The IT will manage the synchronization between the Azure AD and on-premise ID to make sure that every single user have the cloud identity. By the authorization or usage, they actually have three types of account and permissions. First, any customer who signs Azure contracts will come in with the building account. We also call it account admin. The building account to create the multiple subscription and assign the subscription admin. With the subscription admin, they also can assign the permission for each resources in the Azure, from the subscription level to the resource and resource group level. Of course, some people are confused with the service admin. There is actually have an additional permission called co-administrator. Just keep in mind, try not to do using co-admin anymore, because that is coming from the old Azure design. Now, let me show you how to create a new subscription and assign the right permissions. First, using your building account. Remember, this is the key account when you sign a contract. Using the building account to access the Windows Microsoft Azure portal, you will see the two links. One is called My Account, one is called Portal. My Account is the link you want to create your new subscription, and using this to check your building informations. Well, when you click here, you can also show there is a two part. Left is Azure portal, you manage the subscription. Again, I don't suggest you using the building account to manage the subscription. Manage your portal, because that confuse. Typically, building account is only used for manage subscription and assign the permission. So here I'm using the building account to access the usage and the building portal. When I click on this, the Azure will using to saving time, I already log in with my building account. This account is my building account. When you come in here, you can see in this building account, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 subscription and active, and one subscription is already canceled. For sometimes we need to supporting certain business, we create a new subscription. Remember, adding subscription doesn't increasing the cost. So what I'm trying to do here is create a new subscription. Depends on the contract you sign. It may be the EA account, maybe the pay-as-you account. The following interface may not exactly the same, but the process is similar. So now I go to here, you will see when I create a subscription, the key information you need to provide is you need to provide service administrator information. That has to be your organization account. So now you see, actually I assigned the service administrator with the same organization account of the Active Directory. If think about in the beginning, the first time you set up, you may not have the Active Directory yet. So at that time, you're probably using Microsoft account to create the service administrator. But remember to change it back after you set up, because that is not the best practice. Okay, when I click setup, I actually take about 1 minute, so 2 minutes to set up the subscription. And after the subscription setup, remember you log in the subscription using the service admin account, not using the building account to set up. So you can see very fast the subscription is ready for you now, and you can manage the subscription. Now when I log into my account, this account is my account. It's just assign the new subscription. Now you can see there is 3 existing subscription here, 2 active, 1 canceled, right? So right now what I'm trying to do is I try to refresh it. Let me see. Let's refresh. So sometimes when the new configuration is set up, the Azure interface probably need to take a few minutes to show up. So you probably refresh the portal, then you'll show it. So you can see there is actually new account subscription has been created for me. So when I come in to click this subscription, remember select the subscription, and they will also show every subscription for you. So this is new subscription. There is a subscription ID, and they told me I'm the owner of this subscription because my account has been signed as a service administrator account. Now is the think about the building account is a CFO. The CFO or the CFO assigned the IT manager to create this subscription and sign me as service administrator. So I have a fully control of this subscription. So how I can use the subscription and sign the permission to different user is actually coming from here. You think about subscription is the top level the permission you want to set. So you can see the subscription settings. When I click the users, it shows the owner, that's me already pre-signed, have the full control. But I can actually sign other people with a different role. For example, I can sign a user group. It says all the user from the one user group could be the contributor. So those people can come in here to read and write or do something. So what I'm trying to do is MTC guys. Yeah, that's my team. I think we have a team name. Remember, if you synchronize yours with the account with, oh, I got confused. This is not my account. This is the Microsoft directory. So here you can see I can add in my colleague as the contributor. So how is my colleague? It says he will working with me on this subscription. So I click and confirm. And confirm again. So how is contributor and I'm the owner? Remember the difference between the owner and contributor is contributor can do everything except assign permission. So this task, I'm assigning the permission to the how, and he cannot do this by himself. So he can do anything inside the subscription, but they cannot assign the other people to access this environment. Okay, I probably want to sign a reader, like my Electron, who is managed. He's often to look into the subscription, but he doesn't need to do anything. So here you can see there is an owner. I have assigned a contributor and assigned the people as the reader. Remember, these things can be signed with individual people, but also can be signed with individual with a group. The other part you remember, this is subscription level of the permission. If you want to set the lower level permissions, actually it's very simple. You just create a new resource group, add a new resource group, and remember, put the resource group into the subscription that I just created. So you remember this is all the subscription I have, and this one is just new created. I put the name, testing, dev test, resource group. Okay, when I create this, the new resource group will be created. After the new resource group creates, it's shown in the dashboard. Okay, it doesn't show, so let me search. Is actually from the new subscription that I just created. So you can see there's only one subscription in this, one resource group in this subscription. And when I click on this new resource group, they have a almost same logo about the users. So let me show you where is the users settings. So you can see as a resource group, automatically they are inherited from the previous subscription level of permission, including the owner's permission and also the permission contributor of the subscription and the reader from subscription. Those are inherited from the higher level subscription level of permission. Now this for dev test, right? So I will assign some people dedicated to do the dev test. So I will assign one person with a contributor, and let's say Sean. Sean will be the dev test administrator. So Sean will have the contributor level of access for this resource group. And all the others are subscription level of the permission setting. So this is how this permission going down. Let's go back. Remember this services. Go back to the My account. This is the new subscriptions. Sometimes you want to change the name, because the default name may not have the right meaning. You click on the setting button, and now you can change the information of the subscriptions. Very typical information you want to change is the name. And done. Okay, when I click back, you'll see the new subscription name is new dev test subscription. Is already active. Now, this is the part 2 of the Manage Azure subscription. We're talking about how to set up the Azure access permissions. In the next part, we will share with you how you can set up the subscription for your business.